Have you ever noticed how sometimes a single individual can come to dominate your entire psychological world? Someone you feel you cannot imagine life without, and yet, that same person repeatedly wounds you, disregards you, leaves you abandoned, and then returns only to hurt you again. You wait all day for a message, for a reply you know could come at any moment, and the silence grows louder. They know you're waiting. Still, they remain absent, and then eventually they respond. Just a word or two, but instantly your pain evaporates. You smile. You tell yourself that perhaps this time things will be different, but they never are. Still, you keep hoping. That pattern, that cycle of attachment mixed with neglect, of pleasure interwoven with pain, it has a name. Psychologists call it trauma bonding. It is one of the most insidious dynamics in dark psychology, and millions of people worldwide are caught in its grip. Here's how it operates. Someone delivers to you both punishment and reward in unpredictable, alternating cycles. The uncertainty is the trap. You begin to accept the pain because the moments of joy, brief, fleeting, intoxicating, become addictive. Your nervous system, in fact, rewires itself. Your brain begins to crave not the person themselves, but the chaotic rhythm of their presence, the toxic pattern. I had a friend, Adam. He fell into this exact pattern. His girlfriend would dismiss him, treat him as though he were invisible. I remember one night at a party, she pretended she didn't even know him. He was crushed. That night, he resolved to end it, to finally walk away. But the very next day, the phone rang. Her voice, casual and commanding. "We're going out tonight. I'll handle everything, and don't bring up last night." Adam agreed. He obeyed, because beneath the humiliation, he still desperately wanted her affection. And so, the cycle was reinforced. Pain, then reward, again and again. Sometimes she vanished for days. Sometimes she placed blame on him for events entirely outside his control. And then, at the very moment he reached emotional collapse, she'd reappear with sudden kindness, a gift, a smile, a moment of intimacy. And Adam, like a marionette pulled by strings, would light up. His despair would dissolve, as though it had never existed. Months turned into years. He remained trapped, not realizing he had become a psychological prisoner. And this is where the disturbing science enters the picture. First comes punishment, silence, rejection, unwarranted accusations. His body responds with a flood of stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, wiring him into a state of constant vigilance, perpetual anxiety. Then, unpredictably, she offers affection. His brain responds with a surge of dopamine, enormous in intensity. That rush is so overwhelming, so deeply pleasurable, that it overrides memory of all previous pain. Here's the sinister twist. When your body has been drowning in stress, the dopamine that follows feels exponentially stronger. It doesn't just feel good, it feels extraordinary, addictive, transformative. And in those brief moments, the victim feels closer to the abuser than ever before. They begin to believe that no one else in the world could possibly make them feel this way. That is the essence of the trap. If you have not lived it, you cannot truly comprehend how powerful that pleasure is. But if you have, you'll know it feels like nothing else in the world. And that is why intelligent, accomplished people who appear strong in every other domain of life, remain shackled in toxic relationships for years, even decades, because what they are experiencing is not love. It is dependency. It is chemical addiction masquerading as romance. And slowly, they internalize the belief that love must mean struggle, that love must include suffering. But that's false. What they're really encountering is manipulation, coercion, psychological abuse. I experienced shades of this myself. Back in my college days, I would sit for hours staring at my phone, waiting for her to call. Sometimes she did. She'd take me for a walk or a drive, or speak in a way that made me feel like the most important person on earth. And then, just as suddenly, she would vanish. Silence. No messages, no calls. I would wait all day, restless, unable to concentrate, my body buzzing with anxiety. My routine became hollow, my thoughts obsessive. I was chained not to the person, but to the possibility of a single message that could restore my sense of worth. And when it finally came, my world lit up. My family could see the difference instantly. On those days, they would say, "You look alive again. You look radiant." But on the silent days, my face revealed a different truth. Hollow, tired, grief-stricken, a prisoner not in chains, but in my own emotions. One day, I chose to reverse the game. I gave her the same coldness she had given me. I ignored the messages. I withdrew affection. And you know what what happened? Nothing. She did not care. She did not even notice. And that realization struck me harder than her indifference ever could. Because in that moment, I saw the truth. The relationship had never been mutual. Yes, my ego was wounded, but that wound was the very thing that saved me. It reminded me of my own worth. It told me, with undeniable clarity, you deserve better. And here's where the tragedy expands. Because we replicate this pattern, often unconsciously, with children. A child makes a small mistake. We lash out, punish, perhaps too harshly, and then, moments later, we soothe with toys, treats, gifts. The child learns, without words, that love comes through pain first, then reward. They grow up emotionally conflicted, seeking partners who hurt them deeply, believing that's what love must look like. And some people, the more malignant ones, narcissists, psychopaths, they don't stumble into this pattern by accident. They cultivate it deliberately. They crave emotional control. They derive their own dopamine from successfully manipulating another's feelings. It becomes their drug, their high. So the question becomes, how do you escape? First, you establish boundaries, firm, non-negotiable. You recognize your worth and you do not compromise your self-respect in exchange for scraps of affection. If someone repeatedly wounds you and when confronted, they deny, deflect, or refuse to change, then the most courageous act is to walk away entirely. You must not allow your happiness to hinge on the unpredictable moods of another person, because if you do, you are relinquishing your autonomy, your dignity, your life. And if you are trapped now, then understand this. The longer you delay leaving, the more damage accumulates. Every day you wait, the cycle deepens. Every day you justify staying, you carve the prison walls higher. The sooner you step away, the sooner healing can begin. And here's the paradox. The harder it feels to leave, the more vital it is that you do. That difficulty is not love. It is addiction. And like any addiction, it corrodes your life slowly, inexorably. But healing begins the moment you choose yourself again. When you declare that your peace, your joy, your future matter more than repeating this cycle. So, if you know someone trapped in this cycle, share this truth. Help them see it. Help them find the courage to step out of the shadows. Because their future self, your future self, will look back with gratitude. Gratitude that you broke the chains. Gratitude that you chose a healthier path. Gratitude that you remembered you deserve more.